Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. They are set to fight tomorrow night. We're going to go live for it, so make sure you tune in if you want to listen to my commentary instead of the stupid biased commentary that you get most of the time with these fights. And specifically in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the press conference that Nate Diaz and Masvidal had. And their faces right here sum up this press conference entirely. Nate Diaz looks like he's had some form of stroke. Masvidal looks like he's contemplating suicide. This press conference was arguably one of the most boring press conferences in recent history. It's absolutely awful. The two big names like Masvidal and Nate Diaz, these two gentlemen cannot sell this fight to save their lives. I'm doing a better job of selling the fight. Flippin' heck, I know the cut and weight. But come on, lads. Little bit of energy. Now also, the entire press conference is 41 minutes long, and only about 2 minutes of that is Masvidal and Nate Diaz speaking. So I'm going to cut it up for you and give you the highlights. And also, just in case you missed my video from yesterday, this one right here, Neon got too cocky with Nate Diaz, gets humbled, soils himself. I've got to be honest, I made up with the title on that one. Soils himself. 476,000 views overnight. And we've also got a few thousand new subscribers, so welcome to the channel. But anyway, in this video, Neon, this stupid streamer who's a public nuisance, got chased down by Nate Diaz's team at this press conference. And Masvidal went on Bizbing's podcast and spoke about what he thought about Nate Diaz going after Neon, so we'll also cover that. And then finally, we'll try and give some predictions for this fight. Once again, guys, thank you for all the love on the channel. Just make sure you like the videos if you like this type of content. We're trying to cover a lot more boxing and MMA content, the professional stuff. So first off, let's go through the highlights of this press conference. Here we go.
Jorge Masvidal, what have you learned about your opponent during the ups and downs of this press tour, the trash talk back and forth?
I never worried about my opponents. I just worry about me, training, give praise to God, ready to go eat, and then all the fighters on stage want to go eat. So I'm like, what the fuck's going on, man? Let's get this moving already.
All Masvidal talks about in this conference is eating, how he is losing weight. But I feel for the guy because they're 30 minutes into the press conference and they're getting asked the same questions that they were asked on the last press conference. And then the last conference before that, they've had 3 press conferences. Whose idea was it to give this fight 3 press conferences?
Stockton, California's finest, but he's been around boxing gyms and boxing legends, getting great work for so many years. Nate Diaz, what does that mean, if anything, in terms of Saturday's fight? The heated nature of the bad blood between the two camps.
Hold his face.
There's no heated nature for me. I'm just here to do my job, get the job done. I train hard. I came in with my team. We train hard, all of us, and we're here to win.
Okay, here we go, Jorge Masvidal.
The brawl that took place to close the press conference just outside the arena here. When you look back on that, what are your recollections? What are your takeaways?
I'm plead the 5th.
What he means there is at the last press conference, there was a big, massive brawl between both teams. Masvidal was involved in it, and he's just saying, I plead the 5th. I don't want to talk about it. You can see how exciting this press conference really is. Oh.
You protected your coach. You protected your team. That's got to add to the bad blood we have for Saturday night, the motivation for you to come in here and score a second victory. Does that raise the ante, raise the motivation level for you entering Saturday?
Man, I just want to fight already. You know, I'm kind of waiting. You know, I just want to fight. This is cool. I know we got to sell pay-per-views. I just want to fucking fight already and knock this motherfucker dead, bro. Obviously, I didn't like what happened at the press conference, but that's in the rearview mirror. That's my emotions are not going to take place on Saturday. You know, what's going to take place on Saturday is the 6 months of isolation, hard work in a boxing camp with boxers, learning the craft from the ground up, and nothing else. You know, whatever took place on that day doesn't really change the outcome of what's going to happen in the fight, because I'm still going to knock this motherfucker dead.
Finally, a real response. Masvidal seems focused. He's been training hard for the last 6 months. Let's see what Nate Diaz comes back with.
Maybe you weren't at your best level of fitness ahead of the Jake Paul fight. How different is that for you this camp?
It's slightly different.
Good stuff.
See what I mean? He can't sell this fight.
Nate, what are your expectations for Saturday's fight?
I came here to win.
Yeah.
How are you going to do that?
How would you do it?
I'm big on talking into microphones. They don't really. How do you get your hand raised on Saturday?
Violence. So the only thing I've ever brought to the sport of combat is just violence and some techniques. So I get my hand raised. And then eating these cheeseburgers right after I get out of here so I have some energy.
The problem is with that question, how do you get your hand raised? It's just a stupid genetic question that holds no weight.
What goes on Saturday? Does this end the rivalry between you and Nate Diaz?
Ain't no rivalry, bro.
Nate, same for you?
You're going to piss these fighters off, but everybody here want to go eat already, man.
Oh my days, talk about awkward. Masvidal said, you're going to piss these fighters off. Everyone wants to go and eat. Not really his fault though, is it? Masvidal, you signed up to fight. You got to deal with it. And then that's pretty much it for the press conference. Absolute, awful, terrible press conference. What's this on? Is it on DAZN, is it? Now, if you didn't see my video yesterday, Neon getting chased down by Nate Diaz's team, I'll pop it up here. You see, Neon actually trained with Masvidal. We can see right here on this video. So I'll leave that up here and down in the description as well. When Neon was at this press conference, we were saying in yesterday's video that we think that Neon got a little bit brave because he had a security guard with him, and he'd also trained with Masvidal a few days prior. So Bisping wanted to get Masvidal's opinion on what exactly went down and what his opinion was of Nate Diaz's gang and goons chasing Neon. But before we play that, I want you all to know I've got a new tune out on Spotify. The last one I promoted, people didn't like. Well, when they actually listened to the full song, they did like it. They just didn't like the snippets that I give them. This one here, Call Me Jonesy. You like hype stuff and you want to listen to something angry, fast-paced in the gym, go and check it out. Link is in the description and the pinned comment, and let me know what you think in the comments.
Jorge, got to ask about what happened at the last press conference with this Neon guy.
When you do get knocked out, are you going to retire?
Who said that? So I know who you are.
I'm sorry.
I saw footage of him getting chased by Diaz's crew. He's talking shit. Was he a plant? Was he a Jorge Masvidal plant? That's the rumor
wasn't
online.
A plan for me. I know the kid. I got to meet him. I think he's interesting character, crazy motherfucker. The little crazy dude is crazy because, you know, to do that, and this guy's there with all his fucking people just looking for problems to start, you know, it's troll of the year, man. Guy does not give a fuck, that little guy. And he's like 90 pounds. I met him. But that wasn't like a setup for me or nothing, you know. That was his own craziness, bro. And nobody touched him from what I saw or saw in the video, because like 20 minutes later, he was going live on streams. Whoa, shaking, looking like fucking, he sniffed too much coke or something. He's fucking wigged out, you know?
So we heard right there that Masvidal didn't set it up, and I did see some people in my comments of yesterday's video saying that, yeah, Masvidal set this up, or this was all scripted. Let's try and not be too naive here. Do you honestly think that Nate Diaz and Nate Diaz's crew would script something like this? Do you think they are the type of characters to do that? Come on. Neon's a bit of a divvy. He wound Diaz up and his crew went after him. That's it. It's a very simple situation. And finally, let's talk about the prediction of this fight. In all honesty, guys, I'm not going to put too much weight into this prediction. I was originally going to do a video analysis, a breakdown video of the first Diaz and Masvidal fight that they had, and then a breakdown of Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul. And I just thought to myself, who be kidding here? Is anyone really that invested in the fight? And I honestly believe this fight could go either way. Masvidal was saying on the Bisping podcast he's been training solid for 6 months and he's got fantastic cardio. A lot of people think that Masvidal's going to gas out, which could be a factor, especially against Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz, in their first fight, said that he had a torn meniscus going into that fight. I think he said he had some sort of problems going into the Jake Paul fight as well. That's why he's shown up out of shape. So I do believe this version of Diaz, who's going to step in there against Masvidal, is going to be a better version of himself than how he looked against Jake Paul. And if we just take a look at the records a minute, I mean, this is literally the battle of the mediocre records. Nate Diaz record, 22-13. We got Masvidal, 35-17. Pretty much 50-50 records. And Masvidal lost his last 4 fights. Now, typically, Masvidal loses against wrestlers. Kamaru Usman in the first fight, Kamaru Usman in the second fight. Now, that was by a KO. But once again, Masvidal's worrying about the takedowns because he got out-wrestled in the first fight. He got out-wrestled in the Colby Covington fight. He got out-wrestled in the Gilbert Burns fight. So Masvidal, some people are saying that he looks slow and he hasn't got the same power and pop in his punches anymore. But really, when we see him go up against non-wrestlers, he does good. Oh, apart from Ben Askren, but that was just like, I mean, you could say that was a fluke. That was like a 1 in a million KO, even though he practiced it, of course. But Ben Askren, did he belong in the UFC with that level of striking? Probably not. And then if we look at Nate Diaz, his last UFC win was against Tony Ferguson, and then he lost against Leon Edwards, lost against Jorge Masvidal, being incredibly inactive. So I honestly believe with this fight, you can flip a coin and you've got a 50% chance of guessing correctly. I've flip-flopped between predictions, and I think I'm going to go Nate Diaz by decision. It's a 10-round fight. No special rules. It's taking place at 175 pounds. Let's go Diaz by decision. I do think Jorge Masvidal is going to have some moments in the first 3 rounds, but I think he might gas himself out a little bit. Nate Diaz has had some boxing experience fighting against Jake Paul, who's a bigger fighter and who's a big power puncher. I don't know. Could Jorge Masvidal walk away with this fight? I also think so, yeah. However, I don't believe there's going to be a knockout. Nate Diaz has got a good chin, and to be fair, Masvidal has got an okay chin, and Nate Diaz doesn't really pack much power in his punches. So I see this fight going the distance, but I'm leaning towards Nate Diaz 60-40. What do you guys think? Comment your thoughts down below. Let me know your thoughts of this entire video. Remember, we are going live this Saturday. We're going to do a fight companion. It's a little bit of fun. Get some snacks going. Have a little bit of fun in the chat and just see what happens. Welcome all the new subscribers. Appreciate you all. We upload every single day, so make sure you have those notifications turned on. And I'll see you tomorrow, Saturday the 6th, for the fight. Peace out.